how to approach volume on high frequency full body training. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today, but a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed or following, please do so, and if you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I would greatly appreciate that also. And as far as questions go, if any of you guys have ever had good or bad luck with any type of full body training, feel free to share your opinions on it down below. I'd love to hear your story. So, the thing is, if you guys look at a lot of what I'm doing with this, I'm doing like 4 or 5 day a week full body again at the moment. And versus something like an upper, lower, or any sort of split, one of the things you're going to notice, we can't really do multiple exercises, for a muscle group. So for example, like in today's workout, I did back squats and I did 1 set of reverse hypers, okay? And then as far as other lower body stuff goes, I did 3 sets of calf raises, right? We didn't try to do multiple sets for quads, multiple sets for calves, or multiple exercises, any of that stuff. All right, same thing, I ended up doing weighted dips, pull-ups, pullovers, right? And then we did curls and laterals and then a forearm exercise. And that's a lot for a full body, especially at high frequency. But if you look at it, the only real specialization on that day, you're like, man, maybe triceps, right? Maybe triceps. Why? Because we did a dip and a pullover. But everything else, what you'll notice, we only did 1 exercise. So really one of the things that you have to think about if you're going to do a higher frequency, and 3 kind of is a baseline for a full body, but especially if you start going to 4, you start going to 5, especially at 5, you really can't afford to specialize in a body part other than maybe 1, and you can't always do tons of extra stuff for it. So, in the case of that, maybe a tricep or a delt or your bicep or whatever it happens to be, you really are going to be limited with the amount of volumes that you can handle unless everything is perfectly dialed in. And also when you're doing this style of training, because it's full body, you're going to tend to lean towards the bigger movements, okay, because you're hitting everything with a high frequency, the whole body's getting work. You're not worried about splitting stuff up, so you're going to tend to focus on those bigger movements. And then if you do need to specialize in anything, it's going to be, okay, well, maybe let's throw some bands in or something for biceps. So what you're usually going to find to make this work, you can't unless everything is really dialed in. And again, maybe only pick 1 muscle in any given workout that you're going to do more than 1 exercise for. So again, you really, really have to watch the intra workout volume in terms of muscles, and especially if you're going to try to work everything. But it doesn't mean you can't say, hey, I'm going to do some calves, hey, I'm going to do some forearms. You can do those things. But it's the same thing even like with delts, unless I'm going to, do a delt specialization day. I'm not going to try to do multiple shoulder exercises. I'll pick one. So notice that we can rotate movements. And I think this is the key. People say, yeah, but if you're only doing, 6 exercises, 7 exercises, and just doing those 3 times or 4 times or whatever a week, you may be missing some muscle fibers or heads, but you don't have to do the same exercises. So that's a perfect example. So even talking of your isolation work, and that's where we get into the big work. Let's talk about the isolation work. Okay, I personally, when I'm doing this, I either do laterals or rear delts as an example. I'll try to do both, but you can switch them. So you can do one workout where you do laterals, another workout you do your rear delts. Is it still working the same muscles? Yeah, but it's more bias. It's still the delt, and there's a tremendous overlap. Why? Because the front delt does get hit on the laterals, but the side delt and the rear delt gets worked on both exercises. It's just a slight bias. Okay, you can totally get away with that. Or how about rotating stuff? So for me, when I've been doing this, and it's just telling you guys what I'm doing, I'm not saying you have to do it this way. Because of the frequency I'm doing, I don't squat and deadlift in the same day. I pick one. Okay, yes, we're going to get more quad if on the day we squat. Yes, we're going to get a little more hamstring on the day we deadlift. And I tend to throw like the reverse hypers in all days right now. But, you pick one. 2 squats or do deadlifts. You may not be able to always handle both in there, especially if you're going to train the whole rest of the body with it. And if you decide, hey, I'm going to do both, then you're going to be severely limited on the other stuff. And you can do that. You can have days where you do that, to where you literally go, I'm going to specialize in the big lower body lifts. Hey, great. but you'll have to adjust the other stuff. You're probably not doing a whole lot of other things after that. You're probably only going to do 2 or 3 other exercises and then call it quits. Again, otherwise you're just going to get buried. But the same thing on other stuff. So for me, for example, what I've been doing recently, and by the time some of this video comes out, that might not be that way, but a perfect example, like let's say I have days where I do the weighted body weight stuff for the big movements, and I have days where I do barbell stuff. And if we count the squat as a weighted body weight movement, I think that flows really well, doesn't it? Right? So what do I mean by that? So on some of those days, do a back squat. There's your lower body, technically a weighted body weight exercise. And then I'll do weighted dips on that same day and weighted pull-ups on that same day. In fact, that's your first 3 big exercises. And you're at full body right there. I mean, how much of the muscle in your body has been worked? Like 80 to 90% of the muscle in your whole body has been trained. Okay, back squat, weighted dip, weighted pull-up, done. Then you do your other stuff. Obviously, I'm doing curls and pullovers and calves and all that in there. But that's what you can do. And so then the next workout, you can switch those movements. Okay, you can do completely different lower body. You can do completely different chest and back. So what I might then do the next day, we do a deadlift instead of the squat. And then a bench press and then a barbell row. Okay. So again, if you look at it in that context, now we've changed lifts. We've gotten a different stimulus. Now we're not just, you're only doing one exercise. You're really sure pull-ups is the only thing you need for last week. It's pretty far, but it's like then that other workout, you are doing deadlifts, but then you're doing a row. Okay, now we're working a vertical and a horizontal pull. All right, same thing on the chest. I'm doing the weighted dips on one day, but then what if we bench press on the other? Now we can alternate these. And here's how that works really well, because that's our big concern with the higher frequency can be, are we going to get overuse? Are we going to get enough variation? Well, then you can rotate those. So if you're alternating dips and bench every other full body workout, we're not only working multiple angles, we're reducing a little bit of the potential for the overuse. Alternate the squat and the deadlift. Alternate a row with a pull-up. Okay? You can alternate through different types of curls. If you're worried that one is really maybe inflaming the tendon, too much overuse, fine, you can do a barbell. You can do an incline curl the next. You can do a preacher curl the next. You can do a standing dumbbell curl the next. If you need to rotate through those, you can do that on full body training like that to avoid that overuse and to hit different angles of muscle so that you still get the sort of variation throughout the week or a whole training month that you would get on a more split program. Okay, you can do that, and it works really, really well.